Inflation is taxation, and taxation is theft that takes more money out of hardworking Americans. This quote, mentioned by Lauren Boebert, demonstrates the ramification of dramatic rising prices on United States citizens. Individuals are struggling with their day-to-day cost of living, leaving them financially vulnerable from the extremes of debt to homelessness. Good morning, I'm Braden Jacobson, and this brings up the question, to what extent have United States citizens and their cost of living been impacted in the face of rising inflation within the last 5 years? To answer this, inflation has created disparities across the United States economy, distorting the purchasing power of United States citizens through several aspects like gasoline prices, consumer goods and services, as well as the housing market. Provided by the College Board stimulus, Migrant Mother, this picture of Dorothea Lange and her kids represents families struggling in the 1930s to make ends meet, which is indicative of what families are experiencing today, having to adapt to what is now normal in society. Fueling the United States economy, gasoline is a major resource used by U.S. citizens on a daily basis for transportation. Transportation enables mobility, which provides citizens a means to keep up with their daily responsibilities and activities. Spurred by the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, gasoline prices have increased severely due to high inflation as the market forces of supply and demand determine what U.S. consumers pay at the pump. In this graph from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, it shows the price of gasoline per gallon during the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. In January of 2021, shown here, the price of gasoline was $2.34. It then reached a peak of $5.11 in June of 2022 and remained elevated over $4.50 in July of 2022. Now, it's also important to note that the Russian invasion of Ukraine caused an estimated 30% increase in gasoline prices. This was because of sanctions, which are commercial and financial penalties targeted against a country, like the executive order, which was signed by President Biden to ban the importation of Russian oil into the United States. Also, Russia accounts for a 10% global supply of petroleum oil, which is causing this increase in gasoline. Now, both the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine are the main culprits of the rise in gasoline prices and its correlation with inflation. Aside from rising gasoline prices, surging costs for a wide variety of everyday purchases have caused consumers to limit the amount of money they spend on groceries and other necessities for their well-being. As consumers spend more on food and everyday products, it pushes citizens to save more, thus disrupting their purchasing power. In this chart from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it shows the consumer price indexes for select food at home categories with a 12-month % change and a 3-month % change in prices. One example is beef and veal. Beef and veal within the 12-month % change from March of 2019 to March of 2020 increased 3.8%, but just within a 3-month % change from March of 2020 to June of 2020, it increased 20.4%. Similar to this, consumer services have also experienced the same effects. In this chart from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it shows the price increase in travel-related expenses. The average hotel room in February of 2021 was at $98.31, and in February of 2022, it increased to $137.39, a 40% increase. Air travel, the average air travel ticket in February of 2021 was $346 and increased to $464. Rental cars surged 31% from February of 2021 to February of 2022. And lastly, restaurant meals. The average restaurant meal increased 6.8% between February of 2021 and February of 2022, the largest 12-month increase seen since 1981. Now, these drastic price costs are the primary reason why U.S. consumers are altering their traveling plans due to financial reasons. Over time, U.S. citizens have adjusted their spending habits because they have adjusted their spending habits due to the price increase in these traveling expenses. Moving on, housing has also been largely disrupted as increasing prices are giving U.S. citizens limited to no options in affording a place to live. These sky-high housing prices are the primary reason why U.S. consumers are searching for more affordable housing in other states. For example, California. The average housing cost in California was $527,000, and only 33% of people could live there. This has pushed over 600,000 residents out of California in search for other more affordable housing in these other states. Now, not only is it pushing up prices in these other states, but it's also causing the rental market to increase because of these housing prices. To conclude, inflation has dramatically changed spending patterns, and financial hardships are impacting U.S. citizens on a daily basis. The increasing trajectory of gasoline prices, consumer goods and services, as well as the housing market, will prove to be detrimental to the overall economic health and well-being of U.S. citizens. Rising prices are reducing the purchasing power of United States citizens, leading to the question of how citizens are going to support themselves today and the foreseeable future. Thank you. Any questions?
Two questions. First up, how did you handle the differing perspectives as you went through your research in order to come up with the conclusion you came up with?
Yes, so I handled the differing perspectives by gathering all the information and helping it with my claims on gasoline prices, consumer goods and services, as well as the housing market. I gathered them all up and correlated it to inflation and how it's rising prices for the U.S. citizens.
Okay. And what additional questions emerged as you were going through the research process?
So like I stated at the end, a question was how citizens are going to support themselves today and the foreseeable future. This question is important because you want to understand how citizens are trying to resolve the issue of inflation or trying to find effective ways to reduce it, as well as the federal government. What are they trying to do to help citizens out?